my show. Welcome to Catching Up with Claudia. Now, ojalá que se puedan quedar hasta el final para que puedan escuchar lo que va a compartir mi invitada o mi invitado. Así es que no se les olvide también de seguirnos por las redes sociales. Estamos en todas las plataformas. Hasta luego. Hola, ¿cómo están todos? Hi, this is Claudia, la super comadre Claudia of RadioCrystalUSA.com. Welcome back. We have another show for you. And don't forget that you can watch it again. If you missed it, don't worry. It's on all of our social media platforms. We are on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, you name it, we're on it. So if you missed it today, don't worry. You can always come back and watch it. All right, so I'm super excited to be here again today with you because on today's episode, we're coming back with two more candidates. If you had the chance to watch last week's show, we actually had a candidate come on and she spoke about her position. We had someone come on and talk about mental health and how you should be making sure you're taking care of yourself. And also we had an artist come on and talk about his art. So now we're here March the 3rd, I think. I'm not even too sure, but here we are. You know, the days always kind of mesh up together for me because I'm a mom and I got to take care of everything plus work. But I'm doing one of my favorite things, which is having this show, La Super Comadre Claudia show on Radio Crystal USA. And I just want to share that there's a disclaimer that the views expressed by myself, by the guest, are strictly their own and they do not reflect the radio show. So FYI. So welcome. Bienvenidos a todos que están aquí conectándose. So if you are new to my show, welcome. And I just want to share a little bit about myself. You know, you may not always agree with what you're hearing, or maybe we vote differently, or you know, and that's okay. But I'm opening up this platform so that we can be in each other's community. And if, you know, you might walk away with something new that you can add to your thoughts, to your world, and see maybe a different perspective. And that's what the show is about connecting. And you don't always might not always connect with everything I say or agree with, but that's okay. And if it's something that you don't really care for, you can always turn it off. But if you want to stick around, you never know what you might take away from myself or from the guests. So in order for us to do this, we do have some wonderful sponsors. We have some amazing sponsors that are always there supporting us and making sure that this show is going. And it's been going for now this is a 327th episode, and this is season 10. And some of the great sponsors that we have that are always supporting us are Chris Piñon Media Studios. He's always making sure that our photography is looking great, is on point. Anything you see that I put out there with my image, that's him. Go ahead and contact him. Make sure that he takes your pictures. Make sure that if you need some campaign pictures, he's the man for the job. And so another person that I would love to also say thanks to is Ilse Garcia with her Glam Boutique. She's always making sure that I got some amazing earrings on. And I'm just going to say that if you cannot see me, that's okay. If you're listening to me, I will describe the earrings that I have on. They actually say vote, and they're connected with today's show. So I have some earrings that do say vote, and they're red, white, and blue. And also another amazing sponsor that is always making sure that I am glammed up is by L. Grace Spencer's products, the Cookie Face Cosmetics. So if my lips are shining, it's because of her. If my eyelashes are longer than usual and they're fluffy and beautiful, it's because of her. So thank you, Cookie Face Cosmetics is one of my amazing sponsors. And a lot of you have been keeping up with me for many years because I've been on here for 10 years. So there was a time when I was not going through menopause. So my guests that are men right now that are waiting in the wings, you know, hey, welcome to my world. But one of the things we talk about sometimes is what women go through when they're going through menopause. And I have an amazing friend who created a line of products called Men Awake. Don't pause, awaken. So her products have helped me as I go through menopause. And, hey, if you got a woman around you, it could be your mom, your grandma, your sister, somebody, if they need some products to help them get through menopause, hey, we got Men Awake for you. So thank you, Men Awake, for being also one of our sponsors. So, all right. So thank you to our sponsors for making sure that we are on air and getting a chance to bring you people, journeys, stories that can support you, that can help you, that can build you up. So today we're going to have two candidates, and they are running for office. And I'm going to bring each one separately so they can come on and share who they are, what they're running for. And this is a place for you to get to know them. Because when this show first started with Liliana came to me like years ago, like right after the guy that's in the White House, right after he won, was around the time she said, we need to do a show. And one of my platform pillars was voting and, getting people connected to candidates, who is running and why are they running? And I would do it mostly in Spanish and then with a little bit of English. Now I do a little bit mostly in English with a little bit of Spanish. But either way, it was getting people connected and getting people connected to candidates. I've done everything from cafecito with the candidates, meaning coffee with the candidates. I've brought them on. I've gone to their locations where they're running for office, at their campaign headquarters. But now, ever since we've been through COVID, we've been doing a lot of StreamYard. So here we are. And I wanted to make sure that you had a chance to connect with these two individuals, these amazing men that are out there sharing who they are. One of them's already been in the arena for a while, and he's seeking another position. And we have someone that is literally from out of this world in a way, and is back on Earth, and he's going to be sharing the position he's seeking, and we're going to get a chance to get to know him. So first, I'm going to bring on Terry Virts. Where is Terry? Come on down. There he is.
There I am. Hola.
Hola, ¿cómo está usted?
Muy bien, muy bien.
Qué bien. Un poquito más español,
un poquito. Quiero hablar un poquito.
Okay, good. So we're gonna wrap up.
Estudiando.
Está estudiando. Muy bien. Pues bienvenido, Terry. Welcome, Terry. So I wanted to add the little tagline of, you're literally from out of this world, because you've been out of this world. And
I love it.
So I want you to take the time, Terry, to introduce yourself to the audience and let us know, who are you, a little bit about your background, or a lot of it, however much you want to share, so that the listening and the viewing audience can get a chance to know you.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for having me on. I literally just came from block walking, scarfed down some dinner, as we were talking about, and I love having a chance to share this story. So I grew up in a working class family. I was the first guy to go to college for my family, a lot of union members, but I wanted to be a pilot. I wanted to be an astronaut. And so when I was 17 years old, I left home, went to the Air Force Academy for college, eventually became an F-16 pilot, and then a test pilot, flew combat missions in Iraq, was at Edwards Air Force Base, which is the home of that movie, The Right Stuff, if you've ever seen that. Mm-hmm. And I came here to Houston 25 years ago as a NASA astronaut. So I flew on the Space Shuttle Endeavour, got my space shuttle model there. As a pilot, flew on a Russian Soyuz with the Russians, was commander of the space station. So I spent a little over 7 months in space. Since then, I've been doing different things. I was one of the things as a consultant in the energy industry for a big oil and gas company. I was doing energy transition consulting for them. And I hated seeing what's happening in our country. I can't stand it. I swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution, and I see the Constitution being ignored. I see the abuse of our immigrant community, and I just couldn't stand seeing that and yelling at Twitter. I got tired of doing that, so I decided to run for office. And so here I am, and then gerrymandering happened. So I've gone through this journey over the last year, and I'm running for U.S. House of Representatives. So I'm running for Congress District 9, which is kind of the ground zero for gerrymandering. Last summer, Trump and Greg Abbott wanted to steal 5 seats, and I'm running in District 9 as a Democrat to keep them from doing that. So District 9 is on the east side of Houston. If you've ever driven around the Houston area on the Beltway or on 610 or 225, you see all these refineries and chemical plants that goes on for miles. That's my district. The Houston Ship Channel is my district, and the Farm Country in Liberty County. So that's a little bit of where I came from and what I'm doing now running for Congress.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that, for getting another chance to know who you are, your upbringing, and why you decided to run for office. Now, you know, what will you think? What do you say sets you apart from the other candidates as to why Terry Virts?
Yeah, that's a great question. There is a crowded primary field of Democrats and also of Republicans because it's an open seat. I think my experience as a 30-year Air Force officer, as a leader, as the space station commander, again, 30 years in the Air Force, and in business. I'm a small business owner, but I've worked in big business in the energy industry. That's just a really unique experience base. I'll be the only astronaut in the U.S. House of Representatives. I'll join my friend Mark Kelly, who's in the U.S. Senate. So I'll be able to tackle pretty complex problems. I've also spent a career working with different folks. I was in space with the Russians when they first bombed Ukraine. And unfortunately, as we're doing this, it's the 4th anniversary of this horrific war that's still going on, that could be ended if we put our minds to it. But I just have a unique set of experiences, and I have, it's a very diverse district, a lot of Latinos in the district. There's also, white population, African-American, Asian. It's a diverse district. I'm going to represent everybody in the district, with a strong mind towards the Latino population, because it is, majority Latino. So I just think I have a unique background, and I'm the most qualified guy for this seat, Republican or Democrat.
No, thank you for that. And speaking of the Latino portion, and I will put myself in that because obviously I'm Latina, but seeing that many folks that look like me may not be documented, are afraid to go out. What are your plans to work on that or to figure that part out? Because from my line of work, I have clients that are afraid to leave their house, and we end up having to do session just like this. So what's that order? How's that business going to look like if you're the one that gets in there?
This is an overwhelming priority for me. It drives my soul when I see what's going on. I've been block walking every night for this year. And one night, maybe a week ago in the East End, I was knocking on this in a heavily Hispanic neighborhood, talked to this maybe 75-year-old Latina lady, super sweet woman, American, been voting for decades. And she said, "Terry, I don't leave my house unless I need to. My own team, my team is a Hispanic team. There's an elderly gentleman on there. He's like, Terry, I carry my passport around." I was talking to a business owner 2 or 3 days ago who runs a roofing company. He can't get his employees because when they see these black SUVs, they don't know if they're going to get yanked, sent off to a gulag that's here and being built in Texas. So of course, these stories are everywhere. They're horrendous. The first thing I'm going to do is stop this from happening. Get ICE focused on criminals. If there's gangs, yes, go after those guys and stop terrorizing human beings, which is what they're doing. I'm going to get the masks off. We're going to get name tags on there. We're going to get the budget under control. We're going to refocus their mission. ICE as an organization needs to be repealed and replaced. No, Americans will never again have faith in ICE. That organization needs to be gone. And the mission of criminal enforcement needs to be moved. And at the much bigger problem, excuse me, is that Congress needs to do its job and have comprehensive immigration reform. 2 years ago in 2024, there was a bill that got worked out, very conservative. Democrats weren't happy because it was too conservative of a bill. It was going to staff up Border Patrol. It was going to do more judges for asylum. And Donald Trump called. I know this because a Republican senator told me in first person. He called them and said, don't vote for this bill because I want immigration to be an issue. The Republican Party is putting party and self above country. So Congress needs to do its job. We need to have comprehensive immigration reform. We need people building houses, and we need people doing work. Like there's more work than there are employees. So even if you don't care about the humanitarian side, which I do deeply, what Trump is doing now with ICE and all this disaster is bad for business.
Yeah, I honestly don't recognize my state.
Yeah.
I was born and raised here in Houston. I'm 51, so I've been here all my life.
Young woman, very young.
Very, very young, yes. And I don't recognize my country. Yeah. I feel like the lady that you were interviewing, right? I actually for a while carried my passport. And so, it's real. And the economy part, I mean, I remember living here during a time when I think it was Bush 2 understood the connection with Mexico, with other countries, with the economy, with business. Like, and like you said, about that one Republican that said, we're going to make this an issue because it was, again, something, it was beyond, humanity and business. And it was beyond that. It was a plan that was in place and for what's going on right now.
We're building gulags in Texas.
Yeah. It was just reported. Yeah. The building of these places and the money that's being made by those companies that are having these detention concentration camps.
Those companies that didn't exist a few months ago that are suddenly started by the friends and family of Tom Homan and Kristi Noem. And the corruption there, I'm going to investigate, is out of control. 40 people died in ICE custody last year. 40.
Yeah. And where's this money coming from?
We're borrowing it. It's coming from our kids and our grandkids' future is where it's coming from.
How do we take what you just said in a way that people that continue voting against their interest understand that and take that? Because the other side has done a really great job with messaging. Yeah, they have been doing this since I was listening to 740 when my dad was taking. Well, it's been a while. I was gonna say when my dad was taking me to school, but 740 a.m. station here in town was not what it is right now. It used to be the news. It used to be the weather. Then all of a sudden it took a turn, and all of a sudden I heard the same message over and over by all of the people, all the talking heads. And I thought, what's going on here? This is very different. And I know it had to do with when FCC and those changes, when now you didn't have to have both sides of the aisle.
The fairness doctrine.
The fairness doctrine.
Yeah.
So how would you take what you just said so people understand that you're voting against your interest? You're voting against, this is your money. Okay, maybe you don't care about the immigrants or their experiences, but you do care about your money and where it goes.
Right. We, as Democrats, then need to go and talk to them. And unfortunately, in today's media environment, you have to go on their channel, or otherwise they're never going to hear certain channels. They're only going to hear what they're listening to. So I'm going to go on AM 740 and all the other different talk radios. And I've been on Newsmax. I've been on Fox News. I've been on Joe Rogan. I'm going to go on those shows and make the case that, we are for working people. We are on your side. They are not on their side. They're on the side of billionaires, and we are on your side. And that's the case that all Democrats need to make. We need to be rational. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. That's something I like to say. So we also need to listen, and as Democrats, like, what do people want? And then be a party that provides them with what they want. I think what they want, what I've heard, I've been talking to voters now for 9 months, better part of a year. They want healthcare that doesn't bankrupt their families, which is based on these recent big, beautiful bill and all this stuff. They want housing that doesn't bankrupt their families. And they want hope without hatred. They want a hope for a future. Let America, the reason why my family came to America and why yours and anybody who's listening to this who's American, your family came here from somewhere at some point. Even Native Americans like thousands of years ago came over from Russia, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we're all immigrants at some point. People want hope and they don't want hatred. And God, there's so much of that nowadays.
Yeah.
The average person, there's not. If you go to the Mexican restaurant, you go to the mall, you go get on an airplane, people like get along, they're fine. But once you turn on the AM radio or Fox News or even like MSNBC or whatever, it's all of a sudden all this hate comes out. So let's have hope without hate.
I like that. And speaking of,
I just came up with it, by the way.
I love it. Okay, you're gonna coin this now. Hope without hate.
Yeah.
It's so needed. But like you said earlier about going to their channels, going to their stations, I'm even thinking about like the brosphere and all of the folks that are out there that have these very toxic, shows, but going on there with a message and finding the common ground. Because in the end, we all want our kids, our families to be safe and have health care and have the ability to afford, a house in the future. So looking at what is it that brings us together and again, bring back that hope without hate. Mm-hmm. Now, I want to bring someone in who's a voter and a supporter of yours. Her name is Conchita Reyes. Let's see, bring her. Come on, Conchita. Let's see. There she is. Hello and welcome.
Hello. Hello,
hola,
Terry.
hola, ¿cómo estás?
Hello, Claudia. ¿Cómo están?
Muy bien. So let's keep Terry on here. So that could be
for some reason my microphone is messing up here.
Oh, can you hear us? Because we can hear you.
You sound good.
Okay.
We can hear you.
Claudia, I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
I can hear Terry.
But Terry, can you hear me?
I can hear everybody. We can hear, but so Conchita can't hear us. She has I'll text her.
Okay, how about you?
That sounds I can hear Terry.
Okay, as long as you can hear Terry, that's cool. So and you can send.
What am I doing wrong?
You can send this message.
Please
to her
teach me the
Terry.
technology. Can you hear me, Claudia? That is so weird. I can hear Terry, but I can't hear you.
I bet you her microphone is set as her speaker, so I just texted her that's happened to me before.
Microphone.
Technology. I
can hear you clearly, Terry. Okay, well, keep it going. Y'all keep talking and I'll figure this out.
Yeah, you figure that out. We'll bring you back. So Terry, one of the things, another thing too that I was thinking of besides messaging is a lot of folks that look like me might say, I don't know about Terry.
Yeah.
He kind of looks like the person that's causing a lot of mayhem in the White House. Right. How do I trust him?
Yeah.
How do you get beyond that? What is it you do to make sure that voter feels comfortable, especially those that look like myself?
I get it. And this district exists because they're trying to steal black and brown seats. I mean, District 9 is currently represented by Al Green, and now they've gerrymandered it into this new 9. So I get it. I'm white. I'm a straight white man, and I can't change that. I can tell you that when I look back at Earth from space, I saw blue. I didn't see white or black or brown. I have empathy, and I get it that people have these human problems. The reality is healthcare, housing, affordability, education, safe communities. All communities want these things. But the specific, especially with the Latino, Hispanic population, what's going on with ICE is very specific. I was talking a fellow astronaut, Jose Hernandez.
Oh, yes.
A good friend of mine. He was here last weekend. We were block walking. The Houston Chronicle just did a full page article about this experience of block walking with Jose. He's, Mexican American. He was a migrant farm worker. His life story is told in the movie A Million Miles Away, which is a great movie on Amazon Prime if you haven't seen it. But we, at the end of the day, we're all human beings on planet Earth. And my ask is, judge me by the content of my character, not by the color of my skin. That's that's all I can ask. I'm gonna, and also I have a whole career history of making my boss mad. So I am not going there primarily as a Democrat. I'm going there as a Texan, as an American, as a Houston resident, and I'm going to vote for District 9 100% of the time. I won't vote Democrat 100% of the time, but I will vote for District 9 100% of the time.
So you touched on one of your outreach strategies, which is, outreaching with Jose, with the astronaut, and going out there. What other outreach or strategies have you been employing to continue reaching out to the Black and Brown communities?
Yeah. So this afternoon, I was over by Wallaceville Road knocking doors on a primarily African-American neighborhood. So I'm basically knocking on doors every day for a few hours, making phone calls every day for hours. A lot of the folks are Latino, and I had a conversation in Spanish tonight on the phone. I had a conversation in Spanish with an elderly Latina lady, and it's not that great, but I can have a conversation.
Yeah.
I had one guy in the East End. He was 89, didn't speak a word of English, and the city had broken his water pipes. And so we had this whole conversation in Spanish, and I got his information and handed it over to my team, who's amazing.
Yeah.
They're awesome. And they were like working with the city to try and help this guy out. So
yeah,
I'm doing Duolingo every day, trying to work on myself.
I love that. Well, thank you for that, and for making an effort and reaching out, because that is so needed right now, especially with the fear, and the fear is real, even for people that are born here.
Yeah.
100%. And yeah. So as we wrap up your portion, I want to open it up so that you can tell us in Espanol for the listening audience in Spanish, inviting them to vote for you and why.
So, mi nombre es Terry Virts. Soy el candidato para la Congresa y por favor vote para mí. But the reason why to vote for me. So the Houston Chronicle just endorsed me, and they said if Democrats want to prevent Republicans from stealing a seat, they need to nominate Terry Virts as the candidate. They had a list of the best and worst Republicans and Democrats in the state of Texas. And I never thought I'd be glad to be in the same article next to Ken Paxton, but my name is right next to Ken Paxton. He's at the bottom of the worst Republicans, and I'm at the top of the best Democrats. And so I'm a guy, and in this district, that the Republicans drew it to steal it. And if the Republican wins the seat, I hate to be so partisan, and who I am is not really a partisan guy, but in today's world, the parties, the Republicans have gone insane. If a Republican wins, it's just going to be a Trump rubber stamp. And Donald Trump has brought us these gulags. Donald Trump is lying about what ICE is doing. They're sending masked men out to take us off the street. So if we don't want that, I'm the best shot at winning this seat. And I'm also going to have the most experience and ability to get the most done once I get into office. So I'm asking for the privilege of representing 780,000-ish people here in the Eastern Houston area.
Oh, thank you. And as we close, I always like to know how do you take care of yourself and protect your mental health and protect you as you do this work? Because that's another thing that we're going to contend once we get through this current administration. We have families that probably haven't even talked to each other because of who they're voting for. We have people that have, even at work, like walking on eggshells because of who voted for who. So that's a two-part question. How do you take care of your mental health, your mental space? And what do you see bringing in if you were to get into this position? How do you also keep mental health at the top as we continue moving forward and through a new administration?
That's such a great question. And so for me, I have to disconnect occasionally. So like at nighttime, I'll sit down, I'll put my phone down and watch TV. I'm watching a show called Death by Lightning, which is really cool. It's about President James Garfield and the assassination back in the 1800s. I was watching West Wing. Back then I had kids. I didn't have time to watch TV. So sometimes you just turn on TV and let yourself disconnect and go to the gym. I try and go, maybe not every day, but many days, most days of the week. The good thing about block walking is I get my steps in because I'm walking around the neighborhood. So exercise and disconnecting, especially from devices, and also not obsessing. Also, like my aunt just had surgery, so I've been trying to help them out. A family member just passed away. And so you got to take time to, be with your family and stuff. So I think disconnecting and keeping exercise and keeping your physically, mentally, and spiritually exercise. I have a Tuesday morning men's Bible study. I was at at that this morning. So things like that are good. But if folks want to know more, terryvirch.com is my website. And they can check that out. There's lots of stuff and media interviews and that kind of stuff. But terryvirch.com is my website.
All right. Well, thank you. And Conchita, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All
I can hear
right.
you now.
Ahora en
Sorry about that.
español, a little bit
Ahora.
en español para que la gente sepa de Terry, su
Ajá.
nombre y un poquito de por qué deberían votar por él.
Pues debo decir por qué estoy votando para Terry, porque yo estoy en el nuevo distrito 9 y cuando la primera vez que conocí a Terry, explicó todo, por qué está corriendo y por qué es el candidato que va a poder pelear con los otros que están en el otro lado, los republicanos. Es muy inteligente persona, muy cariñoso en el sentido de él quiere ayudar a nuestra gente hispana. Él trata de hablar español para que la gente está cómodo de estar con él. Es algo muy diferente que hemos tenido de otros candidatos que no son latinos. Pero en este caso, no exactamente estamos buscando un latino para correr en este distrito. Estamos buscando un candidato que puede ganar en este distrito porque es muy importante. La razón es que estaba how you say designed, diseñado para que un republicano gana. Pero en realidad es un distrito que puede ganar un demócrata.
Un demócrata, sí.
Sí, entonces para Terry el chance es muy alto. Es muy alto. Y la cosa es que también puede traer los republicanos en la elección general en noviembre. Y yo creo que es una persona que sinceramente va a ganar. Va a ganar. Yeah.
Okay. Y gracias, Conchita.
You voy ganar. Sí.
There you
You're
go.
making me blush, Conchita. I understood like 2/3 of that.
Yeah.
I don't know how do you say that. How do you say blush in
and
Espanol?
And it's one of the things, everyone knows that I really truly support Latinos running for office. But as the Democrat Party needs to get on the bandwagon that we have to put winnable candidates to beat Republicans, not necessarily to quite fit the criteria for us, but to fit the criteria to beat the Republicans. And bring some of those that are still in the Republican side that need support moving over, to the middle. Because a lot of them, we don't want them to not vote. We want them to vote for the right candidate to support our district.
Absolutely. I mean, we saw what happened up in, what was it, Dallas? One of the areas that was flipped from red to blue that had been red for a long time. I forgot the gentleman that won. Who was it? In the Union?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was listening to a story about the folks that voted for him. A lot of the folks that voted for him were people that were independent, that were Republican, that actually helped with flipping that area. So yeah, we got to strategize, and if that's a word, strategize. Was it strategize? One of those.
Yeah.
Strategery with George Bush's.
Yeah.
If I could say real quick, Claudia, Taylor is in a district. His state Senate District 9 is similar to my House District 9 in terms of a very significant Latino population. He's a candidate similar to me in that he's a union guy, but he was an Air Force veteran. And Trump won his district by 17 points a year ago, and Taylor just won it by 14. It was a 31-point swing. And some of the Latino precincts in Tarrant County and Fort Worth, some of the Latino precincts, so the smaller part, had more than a 50-point swing in a year. Like, that's unheard of.
Yeah.
And it's because of ICE. It's because of this terror that they're doing. And so there was another lady in Tennessee a few months ago, and she had, I think, a 13 or 14-point swing, but she was kind of like the very significant left of the Democratic Party, something like she would have done well in San Francisco or Los Angeles. That's not the kind of candidate you run in a conservative Tennessee or Texas district. Taylor was. It's not that I'm conservative. I'm very pro working person. I want to level the playing field for working folks. That we're getting screwed by billionaires, but if you run, my point is, if you run the right kind of candidate like Taylor Remmett or Terry Virts, that was a 31-point swing, and I will win this district. And we just need to make sure that we do that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and we need to make sure we have people that go in there with the right mindset, their heart in the right place, and to fight for humanity at this point.
At this point, yes, because if it's not them, it's us. They come after us.
And anybody who thinks that those gulags are just for them,
oh no.
I got a bridge to sell you, some oceanfront property in Arizona, as George Strait said. So
maybe some moon rocks.
Yeah, I got some moon rocks too. Exactly.
Well, thank you so much. I thank you so much for taking the time and being here and to share who you are, get people to know you, because I think for me, when I do this, it's like keeping it close, keeping it connected, keeping it like as if you're talking to someone across a kitchen table, because that's what people need to know. Down to earth, literally. Yeah, down to earth. Back on gravity.
And he has both experience, space and earth. But, that's one of the things about Terry. I was watching him yesterday with Gilbert Garcia, and it was like everything Gilbert was bringing up, everything that the callers were bringing up, Terry could understand, relate, and even give some background to it. And that's the thing. He will be up there ready to work with policies and energy, environment, oil and gas, and in the Port of Houston, his mind is already working how we can sustain the money that's going out in the ports back into District 9. And that's what we need. We need somebody that's willing to be in the forefront, ready to work, ready to get their hands dirty, and making sure that District 9 is protected.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Gracias, super comadre.
De nada. Now you are you are now a super compadre. So
he's an honorary.
What's comadre? Is that like madrino?
It's kind of like a co-mom is what the literal translation. So co-padre is co-dad.
Like godmother?
Yeah, it's like a godmother, like a godparent.
Okay.
Yeah, almost.
It's like you're now relatable to the family.
Exactly.
That's what I thought. You're like auntie. Anyway.
Yes, something like
exactly,
that. Yes, exactly. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. And good night. And hopefully
good night.
You're not like regular comadre. You're super.
No, I'm
comadre.
super comadre. That makes y'all super.
She's right up there. She's up there.
All of y'all are on board now.
Hasta luego.
Good night. Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys. So you had a chance there to meet and get to know Terry Virts. He is running for position here, and hopefully you had a chance to take away some stuff. And now I'm going to bring someone else, a very important man who has I'm going to share this when he gets on, but I don't think he remembers me, but a long time ago, this individual came out to the groundbreaking of my schools when I was a principal, my school's playground, when I opened up Kip Dream back in 2000 and the early 2000s. Let's just leave it there. And since then, I got a chance to know at that, Representative Jarvis Johnson, who now come on up. Let's bring him on so you have a chance to connect with Jarvis. Where are you? There you are. Woo!
The price is right. Come on down.
There you go. So welcome. I'm so honored to have you here. I've been wanting to have you on for a long time, and now made possible through a really good friend of mine who is one of your biggest supporters and also a voter and also one of my show sponsors for this show that I do. And I'm happy to have you here on La Super Comadre Claudia show. So any person that comes on this show becomes a super comadre or a super compadre. So you today become a super compadre of the show.
Thank you. Thank you. I love to be here, compadre.
There you go. So I wanted to bring you on today. First of all, my good friend Latricia's like, can we have him? I'm like, yes, like say no more. Let's get him on because I want for the audience to get a chance to know you, especially the Spanish speaking audience, because I do sum it up and share a little bit in Espanol. So that way they get a chance to connect with you and get to know you. And I want to say that many years ago, when I was a wee little principal of an elementary school, I had the groundbreaking of a playground that you had something to do with. And then you came to the groundbreaking of my playground. We had a big party. It was over at a school I opened up off of Cross Timbers. It was the old Terrell building, and it was
Yes.
with the KIPP schools. And I was a wee principal, and you came out and you gave it your blessing. You already part of the team that helped make that happen to begin with. So full
Yes.
circle. Thank you so
It
much
is
for
full
that support.
circle. I did not
Yes.
know you were a principal. Now you're bringing it all back. That was almost 20 years ago when I was a city councilman. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, you were only at that time. You were only like 15 years old. You were like one of the youngest principals in the country at that time.
That's right.
So,
And we're going to keep it
absolutely,
like that.
that's right. That's right.
So tell us about the position you have now, the positions you've had in the past, so people get a chance to know what you've been doing and the work you've been putting in, and why continue to have you now step into another position. So tell us a little bit about you and your journey.
I will. Thank you so much. And thank you for your platform. I think it's so very important. In politics, you don't often have an opportunity of being given a platform to talk extensively about what we're doing. And because everybody is trying to learn everything about you within 60 seconds. When we do debates, and when we do different things, everybody's like, you got 60 seconds to tell us everything about you. And that's so very hard. So thank you so much for your platform. And certainly Mrs. Spencer, what a wonderful lady she is, a wonderful businesswoman, what a wonderful mother, what a wonderful wife she is, and just an overall, and I say this in love, what a wonderful diva, just beautiful, just doing all of the work that she's doing and doing. So thank you so much. In terms of who I am, I cut my teeth in politics as a young boy. I tell this story, and if it gets back to my mother, I'm gonna blame you guys. But I was a drug baby growing up. I attribute that to my mother, because my mother drugged me everywhere I did not want to go. She drugged me to Mickey Leland's meetings. She drugged me to church. She drugged me to Bible study. She drugged me to community meetings. She drugged me everywhere I did not want to go. But I believe in the Bible, in Proverbs 22:6, that says, train up the child in the way that he would go, and when he become a man, and become an adult, you will not stray from it. So I learned long ago to understand what community service was because of what my mother did, as working for the late Congressman Mickey Leland, and then running her own nonprofit called the Black United Fund of Texas, which funded organizations within the community that wanted to keep their own identity. Oftentimes people lose their identity when they can start receiving money from outside contributors who want to control their organizations. I started running my own nonprofit when I was 21 years of age. I was a senior at Texas Southern University, and it's an organization called Phoenix Outreach Youth Center, and doing what we would consider to be phenomenal work, creating individual curriculums for children to ensure that they were being on the grade level that they were supposed to, and then from there creating opportunities for the parents, because we realized you couldn't reach the children without reaching the parents, and so we wanted to make sure that our parents were taken care of. Unfortunately, fortunately, we were blessed because the Houston Rockets had heard about the work that I was doing, the work that my team was doing, and they called me one day and said, we want to support your organization. And they built a brand new building in Fifth Ward, Frenchtown, Texas. And it was a great opportunity, and we built this wonderful 4,000 square foot facility, which had computer labs and classrooms and community buildings. It was phenomenal. But then there was a rumor that got out that said that I was running for office, which I wasn't. And so the Houston Fire Department came in and red tagged my building. Now, my building was in the middle of a drug-infested community, prostitution, gangs, just a number of things that were going on. We were the only safe haven around. And I went to City Hall, and I brought all the children, the parents, and a lot of community people. We filled up the chamber. And we talked about what we were doing, and everyone in the chamber was like, oh my God, you're doing such good work. And they all patted me on my head and said, pat, 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 next. And I realized then that's not what you do. That when the people need help, you're supposed to respond to the people. And I ended up running for office. And because I said, no, we're going to have people who respond. We're going to have leaders that respond to the people. And so I ended up running
Yeah.
for office, and I won. And so as a city council member, I wanted to make sure that my door was always open to the community.
Mhm.
And so from there, I did 3 terms. I was term limited out. But during that time, I enjoyed the opportunity of creating the largest CIP for District B to ensure that we had infrastructure in place. Our parks, our libraries were all being funded properly. And then we built what I would believe to be one of the most phenomenal things that happened in Fifth Ward, building the Deluxe Theater. So that
Mhm.
Texas Southern University
Yeah.
and the city of Houston were able to partner, and Texas Southern had an extension in which they were able to build a theater arts within the Fifth Ward community, which gave Texas Southern and Fifth Ward an opportunity of partnering. And I love that program. I love the opportunity that
Yes.
it created. But then from there, I left from politics and I
Mm.
started my own restaurant. And it was a
Okay.
restaurant that was already in place. It was called Phoenix.
Okay.
It was called Aunt B's, and Aunt
Aunt
B's in
Bees.
the
Okay.
in the North Line community. And I bought that business because I wanted to create an opportunity for our young people to have
Mhm.
jobs, to give them their first opportunity at work,
Yeah.
and then create a second chance for many of our individuals that were coming out of jail that oftentimes were not given an opportunity to have meaningful employment.
Employment. Yeah.
So I did that for a number of years, and then the calling for me to run for state rep for District 139 had come because Sylvester Turner had run for mayor and won, and so that left that seat open, and I ended up running for
Mhm.
state rep and won that seat. And so I was in that seat for 8 years, and I think we were very successful in the work that we were doing because we were able to bring back over $2.1 billion to the district,
Mm.
and we dealt everything from infrastructure, housing, education, and business to ensure that our schools were taken care of, to ensure that our infrastructure was in place, and certainly to build better housing, and then to encourage more business in our community. Because I always say, when you have businesses in your community, that creates jobs. And when you have jobs, that creates an opportunity
Mhm.
for young people to have meaningful employment. And if young people have meaningful employment, that means they're less likely to be involved in criminal activity.
Mm.
And so that's kind
Mm.
of where, kind of what my thought and theory has always been. And so
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
there's the opportunity, because as your previous guest had pointed out, is that the Republicans redrew
Mhm.
lines because they wanted more seats for themselves. Because when the Republicans can't win, because they know the
They
body of people
change.
are not going to
Yep.
vote for them,
Change the
I always
rules.
say, that's right. When Republicans can't win, they cheat. And so they redrew lines.
Yeah.
And they started combining some of the seats to take away representation from communities like the one
Mhm.
that I live in, and I've lived in for the last 47 years. And so I saw an opportunity, because when they redrew the lines to take the old 29th district, which was mostly to the east,
Mhm.
and then they moved it all the way to the north, um, part of Houston, and they
Mhm.
took away the 18th congressional district. And so now the district is now everything north of 610 between 59, 45, and 290. As a city council member and a state representative, I've represented over 90% of that district. And
Mm.
I always say it's important for legislators and lawmakers to have empathy. You must know what
Yes.
your community needs. You
Need.
must feel what your community feels. You must have
Yes.
an understanding of your community if you want to be effective. The problem
Yeah.
is, far too often people run for office and really don't know the community that they're running for. And
Yeah.
so the opportunity was there, and I realized that we have to have true leadership that understand the needs of the people, so that I could then devise a real plan
Mhm.
so that we could bring the resources back to our community, to invest into our community, to make
Yeah.
the community a destination of choice, not a community that people just simply is the last chance. And so
Mhm.
I always say, you never have to move out to move up. You simply need to
Mm.
stay in your community, and I want to make sure that my community is the best community that it can be. And so, but it first starts with having an understanding of the community. And
Absolutely.
while I am running against what would be considered an incumbent,
Mhm.
because I am running against Sylvia Garcia, and it's no knock to Sister Sylvia. I think she, at the end of the day, has been what I would consider to be a decent Democrat, fighting for health care, fighting for voting rights, fighting for women's reproductive rights, fighting for LGBT. But the district has changed. Over 70% of the district has changed geographically and demographically. And Sylvia does not understand or know the community that she now wants to represent. She doesn't know Acres Homes. She doesn't know Independent Heights. She doesn't know Spring. She doesn't know Fallbrook. You know, those communities, how do you legislate if you don't know those communities? And so that's why I'm running, because I think it's important. And then lastly, I will say, I'm running because while we're all good Democrats, every person that says they want to run as a Democrat are going to fight for immigration rights. They're going to fight for LGBT. They're going to fight for voting rights. They're going to fight for women's reproductive rights. They're going to fight for health care. At the end of the day, all politics are local. How do you bring back the resources to the community to make sure that infrastructure is solid? Because we can never anticipate God's awesome power when he decides it's going to rain in your city.
And it's going to rain a lot.
We've seen in the city of Houston where we've had 100-year floodplains and even 1,000-year floodplains. Well, we've had 5,000-year floods in these 1,000-year floodplains. So that means you never can anticipate God's awesome power, but you can be prepared. And that's what I want to do, is be prepared. So I want to have this plan to make sure that I work with all the city council members, all the school board members, all the state representatives, all the state senators, all the county commissioners, and we devise a plan to say, here's what this community needs. Here's what this community needs. And then my job is to go to the Capitol and then advocate on behalf of my community to bring back the resources to ensure that education is adequately funded, to make sure that we have enough money for infrastructure, and make sure that housing is adequately there for us. So kind of in a nutshell, that's it. I'm sorry. I know I get long-winded, but
no, it's okay. It's okay, because you were able to be very succinct from the beginning to now, your experience and how now it carries over to where you're at and what is it that you're going to do the moment you step into the role. If this is a role that it happens and it works out for you. So with that, knowing that how much is all this gerrymandering or redrawing of the maps has changed everything. How there in this, if there's I don't even know, you tell me, what's the significant, is there a significant portion of Latinos still left in there?
Yes. So the old 29th district was almost 80% Latino.
Right.
It was 13% Black and it was 7% white. Now here's the most significant. And now it's 43% Latino, 35% Black, and 17% white. But I'll give you an interesting statistic. In the old 29th, which happened to be the lowest voting district in the entire state, it was the third lowest voting district in the entire country. That meant that the congressperson was not working that district to get people to vote. You have to make sure that people feel a part of the process. You have to make sure that people feel that their voices count. Because if you don't talk to the people, then they're gonna be like, what's the point? And you know how people are. Everybody says, what's the point of voting? Because it's not gonna matter.
Which is what my next question is, knowing that you still have 43%, and even within my own family, I have to be like, come on, y'all need to go vote. Y'all are born here, you got your papers or whatever, you have the ability. And I still get, well, it doesn't really matter. Or what's the point? I don't like to get involved in politics. I'm like, everything. The water you're drinking out of your cup is political, because you want to make sure it's clean. The street you're driving to get to work, you don't want to lose the tire or an axle in a pothole. So everything is political, from the food you give to your kids. And so I try to. So I want to hear, like, what are your plans, or what have your plans been to outreach, especially now you have like 43, 35, 17, to get historically, folks that don't typically vote, make them feel comfortable to vote, that their vote does matter and not be afraid, because now we're hearing stories or being reported of potentially ICE coming out and walking about the voting places just to make people feel uncomfortable.
What's the first thing you look for? What's the first thing you look for when you look at your yearbook in high school? What was the very first thing you look for?
We mean like right now, or
when you got your yearbook from high school? When
your
you
own
were in high
picture.
school,
Your own
you
picture.
look for your own picture.
Yeah.
You look for your own picture. Every person that is within the Congressional District 29 needs to see themselves in the picture. The fact that I happen to be a Black man does not mean that I'm not going to legislate on behalf of the Latino community, because I'll give you a statistic. As a city council member, my city council district was 46% Latino. As a state representative, my district was 45% Latino. What you do is you make sure that you have people that look like the people that you are representing. And so I made sure that my staff were bilingual. I made sure that I had Latinos in my office. I made sure that I celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. I made sure that I celebrate any of the holidays that are and I lose train of thought when I was what is the I'll come back to
Hispanic Heritage Month.
No, Hispanic Heritage Month, but the Asian community too.
Yes.
The Chinese New Year. You always want to make sure that you want to make sure that you're celebrating everyone, because everybody needs to feel like they're a part of the picture and not be afraid. They need to know that the representative that they voted for will protect them. They need to know that I will fight for them and that I'm not going to discount them simply because of the color of my skin, or because my hair texture may be different, or because my culture may be a little different. Because at the end of the day, we're all God's children. We all bleed the same way. We all, when the rain falls on you, it falls on me. When your trash ain't picked up, my trash ain't picked up. It's all a part of a big system by which we have to be together. And so I go back to the point. I want to make sure that everyone sees their picture in the yearbook, so that they feel like they are a part of the process, to ensure when they go out to vote that they know that their vote does count, because the person that they vote for will answer the call. I will show up at your civic club meetings. And I will say this, even for my Republican colleagues, even for my Republican residents, I show up at the C Club. We may not see eye to eye, but you are not going to say I didn't show up to listen, to hear, so that we can have an understanding. The problem in this country today is that we don't talk. It has become so partisan that we don't talk to one another, and we've drawn this line. Well, I don't believe in that line. I believe that we're still all God's people. Now, I do know that sometimes Republicans lose their mind because they got a dictator, that is a president that wants to be a dictator, and they listen to him to a fault when they know he's telling a lie, when he tells them that tariffs are not going to hurt, when he tells the Latino community, vote for me, I'm going to take care of you. And then he turns around and invests $180 billion into ICE to build concentration camps, to then harass people of color. That simply he wants to do. And let me be clear about something. Donald Trump is not deporting anyone based on the numbers of people that he says he's doing. This is all for show. Barack Obama, during his tenure, deported 4 million illegal, undocumented people. 4 million. But you know what you didn't see? You didn't see people being rousted. You didn't see people being feared for their life. He simply did his job, and he only had $7 billion in ICE. ICE has been around. ICE has been
forever.
Around. Yeah. And then you look at Joe Biden, he deported 3.2. Donald Trump has $180 billion, and he's only deported 400,000 people. This is all for show. He's conditioning and controlling us with the mind of intimidation. That's what he's doing. And so he's not really, he's just simply trying to intimidate a community, to try to condition us to listen to him because we're fearing him. And then I'll say this. He says he's going after the bad actors. Give you a statistic. 14% of the people that he has deported and detained, 14% have had a criminal record. 14%. But he says he's doing this for safety of Americans. Only 14%. Barack Obama, 68% of all the people that he deported had a criminal record. Joe Biden, 61% of all of those individuals had a criminal record. They did the job. Donald Trump is using verbiage, he's using rhetoric, and he's using fear as a tactic to his base. So his base goes, yeah, we're getting rid of them.
They're not winning. They're not winning. They're still getting money taken out, being, they're still losing, but they think that they're winning. And this is how, my next question, how do we repair from that? Hopefully, I'm praying that we get people out to vote for the next presidential election, that we have this wave, that we have people of sound mind and true hearts and keep humanity at the center. How do we repair or come from that, from those that are far gone and they're believing the stuff that they're hearing? Is that a possibility? What do we do?
Of course it is. Of course it is. And I think the only way you do is I'm being very serious. You have to get rid of Republicans out of office who simply are speaking the company line. They don't believe. They're just speaking the rhetoric. They don't believe half the things that they say. Think about Donald Trump's cabinet. Think about Donald Trump's Vice President, J.D. Vance, who called Donald Trump a Nazi. Think about Marco Rubio, who said Donald Trump is a liar. Think about Ted Cruz, who said Donald Trump is unfit for office. Think about Fox News, who constantly said this person is not fit to be the president of the United States. And yet then he became the president, and now they're all cowering to him. They're all following suit. Those individuals are the individual we got to get rid of. You're not going to spit in my face and call it rain. You're not going to sit here and see the things that you're saying, and then we're supposed to go, you're doing what's in the best interest of us. Donald Trump's first tenure, his first term, you saw he put people in place that held him accountable. And then after he realized he can control them, he called them low IQ. He called them horrible individuals. He called them all of these bad names. His second term, he went and found loyalists.
He found his loyalists. Yep.
His FBI agent is the dumbest individual I've ever seen in my life. RFK, who happens to be over HHS. Oh my God. How this guy is so, he literally said nuts. He snorted cocaine off of a toilet seat. This man
I don't understand how you would, what line? There have been so many lines where I thought, okay, this is it. And it's like, you lost me. He lost me when he came down the escalator and said Mexico, or said some various form of Mexico sends her worse. Once I heard that, I'm like, oh, we're out. There was nothing else you could say. Yeah. And I'm like, I keep waiting for the people to wake up and say, okay, this is it. Okay, no, not this. Okay, maybe this. Not that either. Okay, you know what? We're just gone. Which is why I ask you, is there a way to come from there? And like you said, you got to move the people out. They got to be voted out and have some not his loyalist anymore. You can't.
And to my Latino brothers and sisters, I will say this.
Yes.
We have to build a better coalition so that we understand one another. We have to stop this us against them, because I will say this. And while I have gotten a lot of calls and a lot of hate from a lot of my Latino brothers and sisters that happen to be elected officials, I'll say this. I called Sylvia Garcia before I decided to run. And and my thought was, let's talk. How can we build this coalition?
Yeah.
And I reached out to her. She didn't return my call. I then reached out to all of her colleagues. I reached out to her compadres, and I said, hey, tell Sylvia to call me, because I don't want to run against her. I want to allow her to run, and then we build this Black Brown coalition, and she passes the baton.
Mm.
I never got a return call.
Mhm.
I never, and so at the end of the day, I'll say this as a congressperson, as I'm helping to build infrastructure, when you go look into Acres Homes now, when you look into Independent Heights now, when you look into Fallbrook now, when you look into Humble now, when you look into some of the, we all live together.
Mhm.
We all live
Absolutely.
in the same communities.
Yeah.
Fifth Ward and Acres Homes. I mean, my
It's right
Latino
there.
brothers and sisters are strong,
It's right
right?
there.
How do we come together and have an understanding? We may have some sort of a language barrier, but when it rains on you, it rains on me.
When it
I will
floods, it
make sure
floods.
I take care of you the
Absolutely.
same way, because God ain't gonna say, I'm only gonna rain on the Latinos. I'm only gonna rain on
Mhm.
the blacks. I'm only gonna
Mhm.
rain on the white. No, 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 no. That's
Yeah.
not what's gonna happen. They're gonna rain on our community, and we all, when the boat comes, we all better get in that boat. We
Everybody.
all better understand. If we're going to beat this tide, if we're going to beat this wave, we all better be rowing in the same way. You can't row
Together.
this way and I'm rowing this way. That ain't going to work.
Absolutely.
We're going to
Absolutely.
perish. We'll perish because
Yeah.
we didn't understand how to work together. I'm working with my Latino brother. Yes, I'm working on my Spanish. Un poquito
Un
español.
poquito.
But at the end of the day, my daughter is fluent. My son is fluent. I
Uh-huh.
took Spanish for 6 years, but I only learned how to curse. So please don't ask me. I can
Hey,
curse well. I can curse
you
well.
can defend yourself. That's all. Hey, as long
I
as you can do
can
that.
curse well. But it's always shocking to my brothers and sisters when I ask them.
Uh-huh.
I said, when I was in high school, what was my favorite sport? And they all look at me because I'm 6'3", and they all look at me and they go, basketball. I was like,
Uh-huh.
nah. And they go, oh, well, football. I was like, nah. It was like, baseball? I was like, nah. I played soccer from the time I was in the
Okay.
6th grade to the time I was in college. I played
Mhm.
soccer. I was a goalie. I love soccer. I traveled all around the world playing soccer.
Yes.
And it blows people's mind because I'm 50. And, people be like, wait,
Yeah.
huh?
What?
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 A black
I
man
would
playing
have said the
soccer?
same thing.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I would have said the
So
same thing.
we just need to erase we need to erase the stereotypes and
Yes.
understand
No, we
we
do.
all
We
live
do. We do.
together.
We
My
do.
mother worked with Mickey Leland when he was alive. She worked in his office.
Mm,
He and Ben Reyes built the first Black Brown Coalition, and I certainly want to continue to build that so that we can all understand. This is not a us
absolutely.
against them. This is not us against you. This is a
It's
us.
a we. It's a
It's
us.
a
You're right.
we. It's a
Absolutely.
we. Yes, we, all of us.
All of
Because
us.
if we ever came together, we would understand that we have
Absolutely.
power to make the change,
Together.
to beat
Together.
back the Republicans that
Hmm.
take away our families, that have
Yeah.
taken away our businesses, that have taken away our land, that have, just
Hmm. All of it. All of the above. So we got to close it up now. But before we close, I'm going to bring
I'm
on
sorry I've
Miss
been talking
Spencer.
so much. I apologize.
No, people got a chance to know you, and that's what this is about. So let's bring on Miss Grace Spencer.
Yes.
Again, so we're gonna, because I know we have some other folks that are waiting to record, but I wanted to just bring you on because right here we're talking about, she's got two young ones, I got two young kids, two young girls, and as moms and as business women and as community leaders and all of the above, I want to say that I have been doing my part to teach my girls. Today I actually posted a picture of them with John Lewis. May he rest in peace. And their dad, who works with the Maryland Democrats, they went and they had a chance to meet him right before he passed away. And to me, it was always super important, even for their dad, that they understood how what our roots are as Latinas, ex-Mexican, are important in this land, but also how connected we are with other folks like the Black community, the civil rights movement, that there's a reason why they and my parents and my grandparents had a chance to do the things they were able to do in this country, because there were people that picked up the baton and got hit by batons and then made coalitions later with like Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta and what have you, to move forward, because we need to teach this to our kids. We need to make sure that's in our history books. And unfortunately, it's not. That's part of our history is being taken out of schools. But this is what it's history. And I always, and when I posted today, and you saw that, you know, Latricia, I put Black history is U.S. history. And we need to remember that, you know, Indigenous people's history is U.S. history. You know, the Asian, you know, experience, their history is U.S. history. And we need to always go back to these roots, that we are intertwined, that even folks, you know, the white community too, like, hey, you got more in common with me than you do with that billionaire.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's what they're missing.
Is he don't care about you.
He don't care about you. He's using you, but he doesn't really care about you, because he's making all his money off of his nephew, his son-in-law up in another part of the country, setting up over there, and I guess in Gaza now they're going to open up penthouses. So what job are you getting out of that deal? Are you getting recruited to go work on those penthouses and all the beautiful storefront property that they're going to put up? Are you part of that deal? No, you're over here still trying to put your dollars together to be able to feed your kids.
Yeah.
You have no health care, but you didn't get recruited to go build and be part of that world that you're not a part of. So that's why I think it's super important.
Can I say this? And I'm going to be quiet, I promise you. It's just so much. When you talk about the relationship, when people don't understand, when Santa Anna came to Texas and defeated, you know, the Alamo and all of those, they don't understand. And I always say this, when they want to discount the number of slaves that fought at the Alamo, they only talk about those, you know, them 13 days and the you know, all the white guys. But I was like, so, you know, 90% of the white guys that fought were slave owners. You telling me that they didn't bring their slaves? Okay, well, but when Santa Anna defeated them, what happened was all of the black folk all the slaves that lived, it was like, hey, come on with us. You good. You can go down to Mexico.
Exactly.
Or you can go wherever you're going to go. All of those slaves went down to Mexico. The relationship it's
a lot more deeper.
It goes deep, but nobody wants to talk about that relationship.
And we need to.
Because when you go down there, sometimes you be like, wait a minute, they darker than me. How you get dark? That ain't my chance now.
When I saw that picture today, I think I told you.
I can't hear her. I know you probably can, but I can't hear her.
I can hear her. Okay.
Okay, well, I'll just let you. I'm a lip read.
I said, print that picture out, because that is history.
Yes.
And Jarvis is the type of person. I saw a picture of him with Mickey Leland. It was a black and white picture. And when I saw that picture, it inspired me to make sure that my boys followed in his footsteps.
Oh.
And so ever since then, Jarvis has bite. He has passion. He has gumption. And we need that right now. We don't need anybody who's, I don't know what I'm good. We need him.
Clarity
him to go out there and fight for us. We need somebody to fight for us, and he is the one to make it happen. I know he can see me, and I know he can hear me. I know he can see me.
She said, you're the man. You're the one. We need someone that's going to be able to go up there and fight, and that she also made sure that her children, you know, saw, like the way you saw Mickey Leland, you follow suit, that her kids are also seeing and doing the same. So again, and my girls and your kids are going to grow up knowing how intertwined their roots are and how we need to fight and work for everyone. I don't care what color you are, what language you speak, or if you just got here or you are from here, that it's humanity that we need to put back in the middle of everything. All right, guys, so we got to wrap it up, but thank you so much. I loved having you on, and we got to wrap it up because this has been an amazing, amazing show to have two candidates coming on, you know, Terry Virts as well as Jarvis Johnson and their supporters, Conchita Alonso, as well as Latricia Graves Spencer, you know, voters as well as supporters. You just sharing, connecting, get to know the candidates, get involved, because it's about our future and it's also about our present. So, hasta la otra, voten, por favor. No se les olvide que hay que votar en estas elecciones y su voz cuenta. Así es que no dejen de votar en estas elecciones que están ocurriendo ahorita. All right, hasta la otra. Nos vemos. Adiós. La super comadre Claudia de Reality Style USA. Adiós. Gracias por haber estado aquí en el show Catching Up with Claudia. ¿Tan tan? ¿Ya terminamos? Ok, bye.
Este programa es patrocinado por ¿Qué Onda Magazine? La mejor publicación de entretenimiento y noticias. En TXI te ayudamos a comprar, vender o rentar casa. Llama al 713-999-5420 para más informes. ¿Quieres tener tu propio programa de radio y no sabes cómo comenzar? Comunícate al teléfono en pantalla.
713